I never expected a love so beautiful it shattered my heart and changed everything. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air crackled with an energy I couldn't comprehend, a force drawing me closer to her. It was as if the world tilted on its axis, the sun blazed brighter, and colors danced with a life of their own. In that moment I felt alive, yet achingly aware of the fragile thread that connected joy and despair. Her name was Mia, a name that echoed through crowded hallways, wrapping itself around my thoughts. She wore her hair in wild waves, a torrent of copper that shimmered under the fluorescent lights. Her laughter? A melody that played in my bones, lifting me, filling the empty spaces I didn't even know existed. But there was always something else, something hidden behind her sparkling eyes that spoke of shadows and secrets. When she smiled, it felt like an invitation to the cosmos, but I often caught her gaze drifting into the distance, a fog rolling in. My heart raced as I remembered that night, the abrupt chill in the air when I decided to send her a text. My fingers trembled against the screen, words tumbling and colliding as I typed. "Mia, do you want to meet?" It felt daring. I held my breath, waiting. The seconds stretched into eternity, and just like that, her reply appeared glimmering on my screen. "I'll be there." But an hour stretched into 2, then 3, and still I waited. The cafe door swung open, and I barely registered it at first. The buzz of chatter faded. The world narrowed down to just her, slipping inside like a whisper of a dream. Her eyes sparkled with an intensity that made the air around us hum. I wanted to reach out, to take her hand, to make sense of the swirling mystery. But before I could, she glanced over her shoulder. As if sensing something in the shadows, a flicker of unease gripped my chest. Had she seen something? I watched her eyes dart around, a haunting urgency commanding her to leave. Then silence. Like a dam had broken. She turned to me, her gaze piercing, lips twisting with an unspoken truth. "There's something you need to know." The weight of her words crashed like a tidal wave, erasing all fragments of hope I clung to. Her phone buzzed. A message. Panic seeped in, and in the split second it took for her to read it, the room shifted under a thick fog. The warmth of the connection sobered into chilling doubt. I reached for her, but she stepped back, fear flashing in those once gleaming eyes. The laughter faded as dread settled in. There was something lurking right behind us, a shadow that stretched too far, an unseen force that slithered into my bones. What did she know? My chest tightened. My mind raced. Did our beautiful moment come at a price I couldn't fathom? Something was about to unravel. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air became suffocating. I watched as Mia's face turned pale. Her phone buzzed again, and with it, a heaviness settled between us that felt insurmountable. "Mia, what is going on?" I whispered, desperate to break through the veil of fear that clustered around her like a storm cloud. She shook her head, her wild hair falling over her face, as if to shield her from whatever horror lurked beyond our bare table. I just can't right now." Her voice trembled, and I felt the walls of the cafe close in, turning our little haven into a prison. My heart thudded loudly in my chest, a relentless drum signaling impending doom. Just then, I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder. It was Carla, a longtime friend and waitress at the cafe. Her face bathed in concern. "Everything okay here?" She spoke softly, her presence a momentary balm against the growing tension. But I could see the tension in her eyes as she glanced at Mia, and it only deepened my anxiety. "I need to go," Mia suddenly said, and her voice was almost a plea. The urgency burned in her words, shooting like arrows straight to my heart. I wanted to shout, to beg for answers, but instead, I felt paralyzed, overwhelmed by her pain and my confusion. "Mia, wait!" I called out as she turned to leave. Laughter and chatter of the other patrons felt like a cruel juxtaposition to my spiraling despair. But she didn't stop. She rushed through the cafe door, leaving a gust of cold air that sent shivers coursing through me. "Is she okay?" I asked Carla, who was wiping her hands on her apron, a frown etched deeply on her brow. Her gaze remained fixed on the doorway through which Mia had disappeared, her brow furrowing even more. I don't know, but she's been acting strange lately. You should check on her. And with that, she moved away to attend to another table, but not before a flicker of empathy passed between us, a reminder that in a world often consumed by chaos, small acts of kindness bore immense weight. My heart raced as I pushed through the door, the cold air biting into my skin. The street was alive with sounds, but my world felt eerily silent, as if I was caught in a moment suspended in time. I scanned the area, hoping to catch a glimpse of her wild hair or those expressive eyes. Mia! I called, desperation leaking into my voice. I followed the street as it curved around, past the flickering streetlights and into the embrace of evening shadows. The world felt surreal, stretching and bending under the weight of my worry. Then in the distance a flash of copper caught my eye. She stood under the glow of a streetlight, her back to me, shoulders tense. A figure approached her from the shadows, wearing a hood that obscured his face. My stomach dropped, fear curdling into panic. Was this the shadow that lurked behind her laughter, the reason for her fear? Mia! I yelled, pushing forward, but the moment I reached for her arm she turned, her eyes wide with alarm. Go back. The words burst from her lips like a command, but there was something more, an emphasis that seemed to resonate through the night. Please, for your own safety. The figure stepped closer, and the cold grip of apprehension tightened around my throat. What do you want? I demanded, instinctively placing myself between Mia and the stranger. Stay away from her. Relax, he said, his voice gravelly but calm, an unsettling contrast to the tension in the air. I'm not here to hurt her. I'm here to help. My stomach churned. Help? I scoffed. You look like trouble. But Mia, even in her fear, held a flicker of recognition. Ethan, please, she hesitated, then pointed at me, anxiety leaking into her tone. Doesn't he know? Doesn't he know what? I pressed, already sensing that whatever she withheld threatened to shatter the fragile thread connecting us. About the deal, he said. The word felt like glass shattering. And the danger that's coming for both of you. I glanced at Mia, questions pooling in my mind like a storm. Deals? Danger? This wasn't the reunion I had always imagined, nor the beautiful love story I so desperately longed for. Instead, the specter of betrayal hung heavy in the air, threatening to unravel any semblance of hope. Before I could voice my confusion, the shattering sound of glass echoed from behind me. Startled, I turned to see a shop window shattered, laughter from a nearby bar spilling into the night. But the sudden chaos stirred something dark within Mia. We have to go now, she whispered, her eyes wide with sudden fear as she grabbed my wrist and began to pull me down the street. The weight of her hand spoke of urgency, of unspoken fears, and a truth that felt more daunting than any romance could ever encompass. I turned back to the figure still lurking in the shadows, heart racing as an overwhelming sense of uncertainty washed over me. What danger lay on the horizon? What had she concealed from me? The darkness encroached, and for every step we took, I realized that love might not be enough. It could very well lead us directly into the heart of a storm, where every revelation threatened to break us apart. And then, just as I halted to catch my breath, a sharp voice cut through the night, echoing ominously in my ears, another secret unveiled, another crack in our fragile paradise. You can't run from this, Mia. The past is coming for you, and it won't stop until it gets what it wants. The weight of those words hung in the air, daunting and suffocating, leaving behind a shudder of dread. The night air felt thick, as if the world were holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable storm to break. Mia's grip on my wrist was unyielding, a silent plea for escape from whatever shadow loomed behind us. The words of the hooded figure lingered in the air like a bitter aftertaste, and I could see their weight pressing down on her, wrapping around her heart like a vice. Where are we going? I gasped, trying to keep pace as we navigated the dimly lit streets. Panic thrummed beneath my skin, twisting every thought into a knot of fear. But Mia's face was a storm of emotions: fear, confusion, and something else, something deeper that I couldn't quite reach. I need to get us to a safe place. Just trust me, okay? Her voice was barely above a whisper, as if the very act of speaking could shatter the fragile barrier of safety she was attempting to construct around us. I nodded, though my heart was heavy with questions. Trust. I had poured my heart into our shared dreams, our laughter, the little moments that wove our lives together. Yet now I was left grasping at threads unraveling beneath the weight of secrets. Tell me about the deal, I urged, desperation creeping into my tone. What deal? Who was that guy? Mia slowed, her eyes darting around as if searching for eavesdroppers in the shadows. It's complicated, Ethan. I didn't want you to get involved. I thought I could handle it. Handle what? What danger are you talking about? It's not just me anymore, Mia. I want to be a part of whatever this is. You can't shut me out like you always do. I dropped my voice to a whisper, the tension thick enough to slice. The shadows that clung to her seemed to absorb my words, and in an instant, her pain surfaced raw and exposed. You don't understand. I can't put you in harm's way because of me. The past, it's tangled up in things I thought I could leave behind. As she spoke, I could see the cracks forming beneath her bravado, the flickers of vulnerability that ignited a spark of hope within me. Mia was still here, fighting, desperately clinging to the remnants of a dream that had begun to fray. Mia, I want to be by your side. Whatever it is, we'll face it. A love like ours deserves a chance. In a heartbeat, her eyes softened, pulling me closer. Ethan, she started, but her words were lost when the distant sound of tires screeching sliced through our fragile moment. My heart lurched as a car careened around the corner, headlights cutting through the darkness and illuminating our faces. Run! Mia shouted, breaking away, urgency propelling her feet. I followed instinctively, adrenaline rushing through my veins as we dashed toward a narrow alley, the cold bricks scraping against my palms as I pressed against the wall for cover. We crouched, catching our breath, eyes wide as we watched the vehicle shoot past, its engine roaring like an angry beast. What was that? Who are they? I panted, bewildered and fearful, choking on the storm of emotions swirling around us. I don't know. Just keep low. Her grip on me tightened, her expression mixing terror with a fierce determination that ignited a flicker of hope within the darkness. Did they see us? I whispered, the chill of possibility curling in my gut. She shook her head, but I could see her resolve wavering as the reality of our situation thickened in the air around us. Not yet, but we have to move, she replied, her voice steadied by a quiet urgency that urged me to trust once more. There's an apartment I know just a few blocks away. It used to belong to someone I thought was a friend. We can hide there until we figure this out. A mix of confusion and trepidation washed over me. A friend? Or an accomplice? I could hear the edge creeping into my own voice, the tightrope of trust straining between us like a taut wire ready to snap. Mia, I just don't understand, I said, my voice cracking under the weight of unasked questions. I felt her frustration biting at the edges of her fear, like wild vines choking the life out of blooming flowers. Why didn't you tell me before? What else have you kept hidden? Her eyes darkened, standing as a curtain drawn tightly against the storm raging behind them. I was trying to protect you, she said softly, her voice tinged with regret. But right now we need to focus on staying safe. Before I could respond, a familiar voice echoed down the alley, comforting and yet mixing with dread, a sound I wished I didn't hear, but one that would shake our very foundation. Mia, don't run. I turned to see Carla, panting, hair wild and fear etched in her features. I saw you too and figured something was wrong. Mia, you need to tell her everything, I insisted, glancing at Carla, who looked ready to take on whatever storm followed us. No. Mia's eyes widened, betrayal dancing within them. If she finds out, but before she could finish, an unexpected crack of thunder reverberated through the night sky. The distant rumble echoed the storm gathering within us, shaking our reality to its core. It's happening. The past is coming to collect, Carla said, a chilling certainty lacing her words. And I don't know if we can outrun it. In that moment I realized the weight of everything that lay ahead, every secret, every betrayal, the looming storm coiling like a predatory beast around our hearts. And with that chilling revelation I understood. The truth was a tempest on the horizon, and whether we faced it together or apart would shape everything I had ever known. As the echoes of a dark future loomed closer, I felt the breaking point draw ever nearer, ready to shatter the delicate shield we tried to construct against the crashing waves. The alley felt like a hidden world, swallowed by shadows where even the echoes of our hurried breaths seemed reluctant to accompany the weight of truth sliding between us. Mia's desperate look pierced through the chaos, but Carla edged closer, determination sparking in her eyes. Mia, you need to stop hiding, Carla urged, crossing her arms in defiance. Whatever it is, I can help. We can face this together. But as the words left Carla's lips, I could see Mia flinch, and it only deepened the fissure between us. Don't you understand? Mia's voice quivered, barely constraining the anxiety thrumming beneath. I'm not just running from them. I'm running from the past, the mistakes, the broken promises. It's not just you anymore, Mia. I stepped forward, wanting to close the gap. Yet every inch felt like an insurmountable chasm. If you think I'll turn my back now, after all we've built? I won't abandon you after everything. My heart can't take it. The words hung in the air, trembling slightly. Yet they seemed grounded in an instinctive truth. A small flicker of warmth ignited in Mia's eyes, almost defiant against the storm brewing outside. It gave me hope even as the uncertainty clawed at my heart. Carla glanced between us, sensing the emotional tumult swirling beneath the surface. Mia, let us in. No more secrets. Mia hesitated, the conflict churning in her eyes. You won't understand, I made a deal to fix things, she finally confessed. Her voice little more than a whisper, as if saying it out loud would conjure up the past. But it went wrong. I thought it was going to help, but it only made things worse. What kind of deal? I pressed, my heart racing, compelled by the urgency of the unknown. I thought I could rewrite my own story, she admitted, anguish manifesting in her features. I took a risk, Ethan. With someone I thought I could trust, it's why I couldn't let you get involved. But the moment I did, it triggered a whirlwind I can't control. What do you mean? Did you put yourself in danger? Carla's voice wavered, tinged with concern. Who is this person? It's not just a person, it's complicated. Mia snapped, her fear spilling over into anger. But I could see it was grief lurking behind her eyes. He's connected to everything, the deal, the people chasing us, now it's all tied together. They want something he can't give. I thought I was saving us. The revelation hit like a punch to my gut. The realization that we were caught in the crossfire of someone else's game twisted up the hard-won trust amongst us. The storm was no longer just a threat, but now a whirlwind spiraling out of control. As silence descended, the atmosphere grew thick with uncertainty and unspoken words. I turned to Carla, pleading for her to say something, but she merely shook her head, the disbelief painted across her face. We could find a way to fix this, but we need more than scraps of information. Mia pressed her lips together, the determination faltering in her stance. If I tell you everything, it'll put you in danger. You'll never be safe as long as I'm involved. Warmth seeping through my chest melted the suffocating grip of fear, just enough for clarity to pierce. We're already in danger, I pointed out. We've crossed beyond the line. So we either face it together or let it drive us apart. Mia shook her head, tears glistening in her eyes, surrendering the last scrap of her bravado. You don't understand. They're ruthless. They'll stop at nothing to reclaim what's theirs, and I dragged you into this. Suddenly, the patter of rain began, soft at first and then swelling into a deafening cadence against the pavement. The wetness mirrored the tumult inside Mia, the trepidation writhing within her heart. The answer lies in the deal I made. If they find out I'm the one who broke it, it won't just be me they come after. They'll be all of us. Then we take control back, I urged, the urge to hold her close suppressing the fear. I reached out, brushing the wet strands of hair away from her cheek. We gather the answers we need. Together. Mia's haunted expression softened as she looked into my eyes, searching for that spark of light amidst the storm. But before she could respond, a shout echoed from the entrance of the alley, deep and foreboding, sending jarring cracks through our moment. Mia! You can't run from your debt forever. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, his voice as chilling as the pouring rain. I recognized him, the hooded figure from earlier, the one who had whispered her name into the night. You owe us. And it's time to pay up. I turned to Mia, panic flooding my senses as the air thickened with dread. What does he want? As the figure stepped closer, the glint of his eyes caught the streetlight, an unnerving mix of menace and something else, something personal. Mia, you thought you could erase your past? How naive, he said, a chilling grin stretching across his face. But your lessons are about to resume. The storm is here, and it's only just beginning. The ground felt like it was slipping beneath us, leaving my heart racing with the weight of impending doom. As I grasped Mia's hand tighter, A question echoed in my mind. Was this the storm we had tried to outrun? Or was it merely the prelude to an even greater tempest preparing to swallow us whole? In that moment I realized something far more profound and terrifying. You don't just fight the storm. You must face the darkest parts of yourself if you ever hope to find the light that follows. The rain drummed harder against the pavement, drowning out everything but the chaos that threatened to swallow us whole. The figure's cold laughter sliced through the tension, each vibration echoing the unyielding reality of Mia's burden. I clenched her hand, unwilling to let go, as if my grip could conjure strength against the impending darkness. Mia, I managed to whisper, the urgency lacing my tone. You need to tell us everything now. Her gaze darted from the hooded figure back to me, panic and resolve warring across her features. I had never seen her this way, raw and vulnerable, caught in the vice of past mistakes and present threats. I didn't think they'd define me so quickly, she murmured, the tremor in her voice furrowing the lines of my heart. You're trapped in something larger than you realize, the figure taunted, stepping further into the alley, his face now partially illuminated by the flickering streetlight. But don't worry. I'm here to help you settle your debts. All debts have a price, Mia. Shut up, Carla shouted, her voice stronger than I had heard it all night. You don't scare us. The figure's lips curled into a smirk, unimpressed by our defiance. Brave words, but do you truly comprehend the game you are playing? This is simply about Mia, he hissed, moving toward us with an unearthly grace that chilled my spine. It's far deeper than that. Mia stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. I made that deal because I thought I could bring change, that I could save us. Save us? The figure laughed again, a sound devoid of warmth. What did you think would happen? That you could rewrite fate without consequences? Fate is merciless, and it seems eager to collect its toll. With each word the shadows deepened, wrapping around us like a palpable cloak of dread. I could see the flicker of hope in Mia's eyes slowly extinguish, replaced by a fear that gripped her heart, fear of what she had unleashed, fear of hurting those who had dared to stand beside her. Mia, I said softly, my voice breaking through the suffocating darkness. We'll figure this out together. We can't let him win. But the figure's smirk took on a darker quality as he focused on me. You think love can shield you from the storm? Doesn't it work like that, boy? Love is just another currency, and you're playing a doomed hand. Staring into the depths of his eyes, I realized this figure was far more than just an enemy. He was a remnant of Mia's past, a truth she had long kept buried. Her shame, her fears, they pulsed like an open wound, blending with the tension hanging thick in the air. Mia, I pressed, trying to keep the fear from consuming me. Tell me what to do. I believe in you. You can't let him control the narrative. Silence hung thick and oppressive until finally she inhaled deeply. There was a woman I trusted who worked with him. I thought she could help me find a way to fix the mistakes I made. I didn't realize she was using me. What mistakes? Carla asked, her voice trembling more now, an echo of fear weaving through. The deal I was supposed to erase certain debts. Mia broke down, her voice quivering. But I didn't know it would trigger something darker. They need leverage to manipulate me. And now with all three of us here, they have what they want. The figure chuckled, a low, sinister sound, as he saw the moment of realization wash over us. You have no idea what kind of darkness you've invited into your lives, Mia. You thought you could play hero? You're merely a pawn in this game, and I am the dealer. Mia's breath quickened, and I felt her fingers twitch in mine, the weight of her past colliding with the present like a thunderstorm finally breaking. No, I urged, desperation clawing at my throat. You are so much more than a pawn. We'll fight this. We can turn this around. The figure's laughter faded into a cruel sneer before he pointed directly at Mia. You want to fight? I admire your spirit. But trust me, when the truth comes crashing down, you'll discover who you truly are and what you're willing to sacrifice. As he turned to leave, his final words lingered in the charged space between us, a ghostly whisper that would haunt me. I'll be watching. You can't hide from what you owe. The rain continued to fall, pooling around our feet, mixing hope and despair into a murky abyss. But just as my heart began to falter, something shifted as I noticed a flicker of light in the distance, a glow that momentarily pierced the veil of shadows. A chance, a way out. Let us get out of here, I whispered, tugging on Mia's hand. Together we'll find a way to face this. But as we turned, wrapped in the embrace of each other's uncertainty, A shriek pierced the night high and jagged, reverberating through the alleys like an omen of doom. The flickering light that had seemed like hope now felt distant, swallowed by the darkness closing in around us, and then, as if driven by fate, a figure emerged from the shadows behind us, familiar and startling, a face I hadn't expected to see that suddenly pulled the rug of reality from under my feet, revealing a stark truth I was ill-prepared to grasp. "Mia," the figure uttered, eyes wide and filled with a mix of fear and recognition. "What have you done?" In that instant, everything spiraled once more into turmoil as the cold realization that our world had shifted yet again engulfed us, an unrelenting tidal wave that threatened to consume the fragile bonds we had fought so hard to reach. The rain poured down, drenching the alley, but it was not the water on my skin that sent an involuntary shiver spiraling through me. It was the familiar voice cutting through the chaos, the harsh reminder of the past I had thought I could escape. "Lily," Mia breathed, her hand slipping from mine as she stepped forward, the shock reflected in her eyes. "You shouldn't be here." Lily stood just a few feet away, her expression one of devastation mixed with anguish. The remnants of a friendship that had once been filled with laughter and shared dreams now lay in shambles, and the reality of that moment clawed at the edges of my heart. She glanced at me, her gaze a mixture of recognition and bewilderment, as if she were piecing together a puzzle that no longer fit. "What have you done?" she repeated, but her voice held more weight now, like a stone thrown into a tranquil pond, creating ripples of tension. Mia opened her mouth to respond, but no words came forth as she trembled, caught in the storm of emotions swirling around us. It was a precarious moment, pregnant with unsaid thoughts. A flicker of vulnerability sparked in her eyes, and the barrier of secrets that had surrounded her crumbled, revealing the messiness of her choices. "I wanted to change things. I thought I could save everyone," Mia stammered, a sob hitching in her throat. "By making deals with a monster?" Lily shot back, tears pooling in her eyes. "Don't you see what you've unleashed? You think you're strong enough to fight this, to handle the consequences?" I stepped closer, desperate to mend the divide threatening to grow wider between them. Mia chose to take a risk. We all did. Now we have to stand together no matter how dark things get. Lily turned to me, and for the briefest moment, I saw a flicker of understanding behind her fear. "You don't know what you're asking for. You think you can stand against the darkness? This is bigger than you realize." "I know," I countered, feeling the weight of every internal battle Mia had faced. "But if we don't stand together, we'll lose everything. Please let her explain." But before anything more could be said, the laughter of the figure from earlier echoed in the alley, tearing through our fragile moment of connection. It was a sound that reverberated through the very marrow of my bones, reminding us that we were not alone in this chaos. "Such a charming gathering," he called, emerging again from the shadows, his presence suffocating the air. "But the clock is ticking, dear ones. Time waits for no one, especially not for those who owe me." Mia flinched, drawing back and placing her hands protectively over her chest as if to ward off a violent blow. I stepped in closer, mirroring her defensive posture. "We won't let you manipulate her anymore." His smirk deepened, twisting the lines of his face into something grotesque and hideous. "You think you can protect her? You're all dancing on the edge of a knife. Love won't save you. It will only blind you to the truth." Mia took a deep breath, and I watched as she steadied herself, the remnants of her fear coiling into determination. "No more lies. No more running," she declared, the strength in her voice forcing my heart to swell. "I will face the consequences of my choices, but I refuse to let anyone else suffer for them. This isn't just my fight anymore." Lily's gaze softened as she regarded Mia, a flicker of betrayal battling alongside sympathy. "But you'll be endangering yourself, Mia. The people you care about. I can't keep dragging you all into this. I have to own my mistakes." The figure crossed his arms, watching with amusement as the tension crackled between us. But owning mistakes comes with a price. You'll learn soon enough what it takes to make amends." "Mia, don't," I interjected, feeling the overwhelming weight of impending doom crashing around us. "We can find another way." There's got to be. Before I could finish, the darkness within the alley rippled, and the figure disappeared, only to be replaced by a low rumbling sound that vibrated through the ground beneath us. Felt as if the very fabric of reality was shifting and tearing apart, unwinding what little threads still tethered us to safety. In that moment, fear clutched at my throat as I realized the battle was only just beginning. We had ventured too far into this storm to turn back, but neither could we afford to move forward without the heavy burdens of our pasts weighing down upon us. A blinding light suddenly flickered overhead, catching our attention. It illuminated the alley for a heartbeat before extinguishing completely. My heart sank as a cacophony of cries echoed behind that once hopeful brightness, plunging us further back into darkness. What was that? Carla whispered. I turned, dread pooling in my stomach. We need to stay together, but before I could finish, a loud crash echoed nearby, and the ground shuddered underfoot. From the chaos emerged a new figure, a silhouette that danced in the distance like a haunting memory trying to break free. My breath caught in my throat as recognition washed over me, a sense of horror sweeping in. "Mia, run!" I shouted, but it was too late. The figure stepped forward, revealing a face that sent cold shivers racing down my spine. Someone I never expected to see. Someone who held secrets that could rewrite our lives, complicating our already tangled web of deception and despair. In the clenching grip of that moment, I stood paralyzed by the dual recognition of dread and hope. I could feel everything shifting out of reach, the fragile nature of our bond hanging on the precipice of a truth I was terrified to uncover. Once exposed, everything would change again, threading our fates to a fate uniquely twisted and maybe, just maybe, woven into a darkness even deeper than Mia's past. As thunder rumbled in the distance and rain fell heavier, I whispered into the tumultuous night, unsure of what awaited us but knowing all too well that whatever came next could either bind us closer together or rip us apart forever. The rain created a rhythm, each drop echoing the thunder in my heart as I stood frozen in place, my eyes pinned to the figure emerging from the shadows. There, illuminated briefly by the flickering light of a nearby street lamp, was Jamie, my brother. The one person I thought I had lost forever. "Mia, please don't move," I shouted, desperation lacing my voice, but it mingled with the panic swirling within me, drowning out my thoughts. So many emotions surged to the surface: the joy of seeing him, the pain of his absence, and the unbearable weight of the impossible choices before us. "Mia," he said softly, his voice a faint whisper over the roar of the storm. "I didn't know you'd come back." As he stepped closer, the shadows fell away, revealing the pain etched on his face. She was equally rooted in shock as she stared at Jamie, and for a brief moment, the world around us faded into silence. I could feel the air between them thick with unexpressed history, the unhealed wounds of a family splintered apart by secrets and guilt. "There's no time for this," I insisted, pushing through the growing tension. "The figure he's watching us. We need to find a way to escape this." But a part of me longed for this moment to stretch, for the past to breathe life into the present. "Jamie, what happened to you?" Mia managed, her voice wavering as she reached out, her hand almost grazing his. "Why are you here, Mia?" he asked, concern etching deeper lines in his brow. "You shouldn't be involved in this." "I had to be," she replied, her voice trembling with a conviction that belied her fear. "I made a choice, one that has brought others into danger. I can't turn back now." "Your choice doesn't just affect you," Jamie snapped, his dark eyes flashing with a mixture of anger and worry. I could feel the rift opening between them, the once tight bond beginning to fray under the weight of their shared pain. "Stop it," I interjected, feeling the earth sway beneath us, the very air heavy with uncertainty. "You both have to understand this isn't just about you anymore. We're all in the middle of something terrible." But my words seemed futile, lost amid their apprehensive gazes. In the heart of the storm, I realized how much I ached for understanding, for the comfort of our shared stories to hold us firm against the unrelenting tide of darkness that threatened to drown us. Suddenly, the figure from before returned, looming larger and more menacing than before. His laughter sliced through the tension like glass, echoing off the alley walls. "A family reunions. How charming. What do you want from us?" I shouted above the cacophony, my heart pounding against my chest. "What I've always wanted," he replied, eyes glimmering like polished daggers. "The completion of a promise made long ago. But it seems your brother here has decided to spoil the fun." Jamie's expression darkened. "Whatever deal you think you have with me, you're wrong. I won't let you hurt anyone else." A spark of resolve ignited within me at his words, and yet dread coiled tighter in my gut. To stand against that looming darkness came with a cost, one that was growing increasingly clear. Innocent people will suffer because of you, I said, my voice thick with emotion. You think you can protect us? You're just increasing the stakes. His smirk widened, transforming his face into something grotesque. See, that's the beauty of it. Everybody involved pays a price, their deepest fears, their most hidden regrets. And you three? You will be the best show I've had in a long time. Mia, we need to get out of here, Jamie urged, panic flickering in his gaze, but the way he stood, strong and unwavering for her, pulled at something deep inside me. I took a step back, glancing between them. There was a warmth between them, a connection ignited in their shared turmoil. No, Mia said suddenly, her face flushing with determination. I refuse to be a pawn in this game any longer. Mia, I exclaimed, but her resolve only solidified. There was a newfound strength in her voice I hadn't heard before. I'm not running anymore. Not from him, not from my past, and not from what I've done. If this is where it leads, then I'll face it head on. Face what? Jamie replied, incredulous. You can't do this alone. But she shook her head, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears and determination. I've already lost so much. I can't bear to watch anyone suffer for my mistakes any longer. Just then the figure lunged forward, a blur of shadows and malice, but before he could reach us, the ground beneath him cracked, sending a shockwave through the alley. Mia stumbled, and without thinking I reached out and pulled her toward me. Stay close, I whispered fiercely, the weight of our situation pressing down on my shoulders like a heavy cloak. A sudden blinding light enveloped us, more brilliant than before, causing the figure to recoil. I felt my heart racing, the moment teetering on the edge of something magnificent yet terrifying. Then the ground shook violently, and as the light flickered and dimmed, a desperate thought crossed my mind. What if this wasn't the beginning of the end? What if we could rewrite our fates? But before I could voice it, something shattered in the shadows behind Jamie, a mirror, perhaps sending shards flying into the air. As the shards glinted in the dim light, I glimpsed fragmented images, echoes of choices and paths diverging. Mia, Jamie, look! I shouted, pointing at them. But as I did, darkness surged back, wrapping around us like thick velvet, pulling us deeper into its snares. And just like that, I felt the fragile thread of our fates intertwining with threads unseen, my heart beginning to sink with the weight of a heavy realization. Each path held its own destruction, own light, and the darkness was ravenous, waiting for my next move. I closed my eyes against the horror of it, and with my heart racing, I whispered to the shadows, hoping against hope that our love, this love, stunning and broken, could shatter the abyss threatening to swallow us whole. The moment the shards fell around us, time lost its meaning. The world spun disorientingly, fragments glistening like stars before vanishing into obscurity. Each sharp edge was a reflection of choices made, love lost, and paths irrevocably altered. I felt trapped in a maze of memories, each echo a siren's call demanding recognition. Mia, hold on to me, I shouted, gripping her arm as the darkness thickened, pulsing with a life of its own. Jamie stood close, his presence both grounding and disconcerting, as if the very essence of protection he had tried to channel was being siphoned away by the malevolence surrounding us. What do we do? Mia's voice wavered, cracking under the strain, her wide eyes flitting to the chaos around us. We find the light, Jamie declared, though an uncertainty lurked beneath his bravado. But the way he looked at Mia with fierce devotion and acknowledgement of the pain they shared kindled a flame of hope within me, enough to push against the suffocating dread. But just as I felt that hope ignite, the figure returned to life, emerging from the shadows like a nightmarish specter. How fascinating you all are! Caught between choices and desires, siblings united by fear and regret, he crooned, his voice honeyed yet venomous. But it's too late for you, dear Mia. What do you mean? She retorted, newfound strength sharpening her voice. Your past is just a shackle. It's a blade that cuts, he taunted, laughter spilling like hot embers. You think you can escape it? Every choice you made has led you to this very moment, your precious brother and this lovely friend. I felt his words claw at the edges of my resolve, sharp and biting. Shut up. I found the courage to hiss, the anger surging inside me like fire. My heart pounded with each beat, fighting to drown the doubts threatening to flourish. That rage, that adrenaline, it won't save you. You're also deeply entwined in this tragic story. You can never truly escape, he sneered, his eyes glimmering with dark glee as the shadows coiled around him like serpents waiting to strike. Enough, Jamie barked, moving slightly in front of Mia, a physical barrier forged in protective instinct. We will not succumb to your darkness. Ah, but the real question is, he replied mockingly, can you keep your loved ones safe when the storm of their own making comes crashing down? Then, in a moment that felt both surreal and electric, the ground trembled beneath our feet once more, and the shards ignited with a soft, ethereal glow. Memories unfurled from them, vivid and haunting, unfurling like petals in the wind. Look, I gasped, pressing my fingers against what appeared to be Mia's past unraveling before us. A younger version of herself sat alone in her room, staring out of a rain-streaked window, eyes vacant and lost in thought. That was before, Mia whispered, a sorrowful cadence weaving through her voice. Before what? Jamie ventured, curiosity creeping into his tone, the connection between them palpable through the turmoil. It was before I chose to bring you both back into this chaos. I thought I could be stronger, fix everything. She hesitated, tears shimmering in her eyes, reflecting guilt and yearning. Maybe this is the moment we unravel it all, I said, desperation edging my thoughts. Identify the pieces that define us. We could shift our paths. Mia. Jamie's voice trembled as he squeezed her shoulder, offering a flicker of stability amidst the suffocating unknown. Don't let him twist this moment. We can find a way out together. Before she could respond, the figure lunged again, a tempest of shadows crashing toward us. You cannot escape. His roar vibrated through the air, a desperate rage born of his own unraveling sanity. But suddenly, as if a dam broke within her, Mia stepped forward, her expression transforming. No more, she declared, her voice resonating with a fierce clarity. I will not let you dictate our fate. I will confront what lies within. In that instant, she dove into the swirling chaos of memories, her silhouette a beacon cutting through the dark. And in an act of sheer will, she began to pull the fragmented pieces together, stitching her past and present into a tapestry of resilience. Mia! Jamie shouted, but her determination shimmered around her like a fragile shell, threatening to burst and reveal the beauty inside, something darker yet alive, waiting for its moment. And then, unforeseen, the figure halted his advance, shock cleaving through his smirk. What is this? He howled in disbelief. You think you can transcend your mistakes? You will never escape the echoes of your darkness. I turned to Jamie, who stood frozen, confounded by the scene unraveling before our eyes. Together we watched as Mia continued to merge the shards, her essence painted across the darkness as fractured rays of light. But as she worked, shadows writhed behind her, reaching forward with greedy fingers. They sought to extinguish her light, to twist it back into the abyss. Mia, come back! I cried, a sense of urgency clawing at my chest. No, she yelled with a ferocity that reverberated deep within me. I choose to face this. I choose to break the cycle. And amid her cry, a shocking realization seized me. If she confronted her past, delving directly into its sorrow and pain, it could change everything. It could shift the anchor that weighed us down. But the brutal grip of darkness rushed toward her. Mia, please. Jamie's voice cracked, fear and fury intertwining, and just before the shadows could consume her, I felt a pulse of warmth surging from within me, a desperate plea rallying in my chest. Without thinking, I stepped forward, intertwined my fingers with Jamie's, and reached toward her. Together, I shouted, feeling our shared determination synchronize as the shadows threatened to swallow her whole. But as our hands clasped, a shocking revelation flowed through me, spine-chilling and electric. The cost of this sacrifice might be far greater than any of us had anticipated. Just as I felt that realization crash over me like waves, everything fractured into a deafening silence, a silence that promised change, hope, and unfathomable pain all in one breath. And in that moment, with fear like an anchor holding me steady, I understood that the path ahead was not just ours to define but to pay for, bloodied and torn by the choices we might have to confront next. The air crackled with tension, an electric anticipation weaving through the silence that enveloped us. As Mia delved deeper into the whirlpool of her past, the shadows writhed ceaselessly, tendrils twitching like angry serpents yearning to reclaim their prey. I could sense Jamie's worry percolating beneath his cool exterior, and every fiber of my being screamed to not let go, to keep fighting, even as shivers of dread threaded through my thoughts. Mia! I shouted again, but my voice felt small and insignificant against the weight of the darkness. Through the chaos, fragments of laughter drifted from the shadows, a mocking chorus that echoed the doubts we all harbored. You think you can pull that light from within her? How quaint! But every star you think you forge is another reminder of the void she carries, of the love she lost, the figure taunted, this time his voice curling around the edges of despair, pulling it a little closer. Mia faltered for just a heartbeat, and my heart sank at the flicker of uncertainty that flickered across her face. No, I refuse to believe that, she cried, but the tremble in her voice betrayed her conviction. I felt Jamie's grip tighten as he took a step closer to her. You're stronger than this, he urged, his voice laced with unwavering confidence. You've survived more than most. Let that resilience guide you through. The shards pulsated with a growing brilliance, reflecting not only Mia's memories, but also the weight of her struggles, the laughter that intertwined with sorrow. I caught glimpses of her childhood, the delight of first friendships, moments of triumph, but alongside them danced shadows, betrayals, regrets, choices made in darkness. A profound ache welled within me as I watched the pain of knowing what she had lost, how it had shaped who she was, but also how each fragile memory had been colored by love, friendship, and flaws. Mia, your past doesn't define you. It's simply part of your journey, an imperfect path leading to your strength. She turned, her eyes fierce with a mix of determination and fear. But what do I do with the hurt? The pain I carry? Disbelief crept back into her voice. Let it be fuel, I cried out, feeling the swelling force of hope igniting within me. Turn it into your armor, and let it light the way to what's ahead. As her gaze shifted to me, I saw a flicker of understanding ignite within the depths of her eyes. In that infinitesimal moment, the darkness surrounding us tightened, swirling with malicious intent, the specter lunging once more, aiming to trap her within its shadowy embrace. Hold on, Mia, I echoed, each word a lifeline thrown into tumultuous seas. Jamie stepped ahead, his jaw set, as if forcing a promise through sheer will. Together we became an unbreakable bridge, a living testament of understanding and unwavering support. The shadows lunged, but as we clasped Mia's hands, interlinking our strengths, our fears, our hopes, a surge of light erupted like a comet across the void. It was a blinding connection that sent tremors of energy cascading outward, deflecting the dark. But just then, a sudden stillness enveloped us, the fragments of glimmering memory frozen mid-dance, a heartbeat suspended in time. Do you hear it? Mia asked, her voice trembling. I strained to listen, the world around us eerily quiet, every breath heightened in anticipation. Then, like a ghostly whisper, a faint melody rippled through the air, a haunting lullaby intertwined with remembrance. What is that? Jamie questioned, surprise cracking his composed demeanor. It's the sound of my mother singing, Mia breathed, though her expression shifted, morphing from nostalgia into raw realization. I thought I had forgotten it. But the shadow feeds upon your memories, the joys and pains all twisted into darkness. I murmured, my heart aching for her. You must reclaim it, reshape it. In an electrifying moment, Mia closed her eyes, and the lush strands of melody wrapped around her, a lifeline pulling her deeper into her own essence. She began to hum softly, and with each note memories erupted, fiercely like wildflowers breaking through hardened soil, colors blooming across the darkness we were entrenched within. But before I could grasp the significance of this burgeoning symphony, the figure snarled, rage erupting as he felt the tide shifting. No, you cannot harness those memories. They will only haunt you. The shadows roared in defiance, pushing violently against our connection, desperation swirling within. Jamie's hand shook in mine, our anchor starting to tremble under the mounting force. Mia, use it. Let the love seep through the cracks, I urged, the conviction fueling my own strength. I envisioned a way forward, a path where pain transformed into beauty. But as her song grew louder, resonating within the void, I felt something shift, a fracture deeper than I could ever anticipated. A jarring echo of betrayal rang out, a memory swirling in the fragments. It resurrected shards that should have remained buried, leaving a cold dread settling in my chest. Mia, what? Jamie started, but I felt that icy realization creeping closer, my heart slamming against my ribs, a truth that threatened to unravel all we were trying to protect. The figure glared at us with a malevolence that sent shivers down my spine, and from the depths of that dark abyss, a long-buried secret surged forward. You think that climbing from the pit will save you? But in confronting your past, you will expose truths that are darker than you can imagine. At that moment, with Mia caught within the resonance of her voice, I understood there was far more at stake than any of us knew. And just as the last note hung hauntingly in the air, I felt the world shift again, producing an unfathomable crack in the fabric of our reality. The shadows shrieked in rage, the fragments proliferating, and just like that, everything transformed around us. Everything we thought we knew shattered, leaving us on the precipice of a revelation that could either save us or ruin us completely. The darkness convulsed around us, throwing every ounce of uncertainty into sharp relief. I watched as Mia stood at the center of it all, seemingly suspended between two worlds, the painful echo of her past and the tether to our shared moment of hope. The familiarity of the storm grew louder. I could feel it thrumming under my skin, whispering promises made and broken, sins steeped in shadows. Mia! I shouted, urgency surging through me as I stepped forward, determined to keep my ground alongside her. You're stronger than this. Don't let him pull you back into that abyss. The shadows writhed and the figure cackled, infuriated. You cannot shield her from the truth. It is the weight she must bear, and you're merely a distraction. No, Jamie interjected fiercely, stepping up beside us. You don't know what you're underestimating. Love can shatter shadows. It can break the very chains binding her to this darkness. And suddenly I felt the truth in those words vibrating through me. I glanced at Mia, who appeared entangled within a world of her emotions, fighting an internal battle that seemed distant, yet so closely woven into our own lives. Her eyes brimmed with fierce determination, but there was a tug of fear wrestling against it. Mia, I urged again, my voice a shaky threat in the chaos, shed the guilt. Your choices don't define you, your heart does. Channel the weight of the love surrounding you. Let it guide you. In that moment, beneath the roar of shadows, something shifted within her. I could see it, a deep-seated flicker buried behind years of pain igniting alive, setting her spirit aflame with possibility. Mia lifted her chin trembling with resolve. I will confront everything. I won't be a victim of my past any longer. The figure's laughter shifted into a growl, confusion playing across his features. Do you think you can conquer all of this through mere words? Your love, your memories? They're a curse. No, Mia said, voice steadying, and we could all feel it then. The raw, undeniable power surging from her. They're my strength. I will own every piece of it. Suddenly the shards began to glow, each one pulsing, resonating with her reclaimed songs of hurt, sorrow, and fierce love. Images cascaded above us, weaving between light and darkness, revealing moments where shadows overshadowed joy. They coiled together until they formed a tapestry of her reality, raw and unfiltered, a reflection of every fear and every triumph. The figure recoiled as the brightness enveloped him, vulnerability weaving through his malice. You think this light can swallow me? You're a fool. No, Jamie declared, twisting his grip with mine until our hands became a bridge, seamlessly wrapped around Mia's. We powered together, threading our intentions, pushing against the storm. We are what love can overcome. In that moment, as we held on to each other with unyielding strength, I felt the tide rise. In response, a warmth enveloped us, swelling, pulling Mia's essence into a blazing crescendo of resilience. Keep singing, I urged, as each note echoed through the spiral of chaos. Amidst that symphony, I caught glimpses of people who had loved Mia through her struggles, friends lost yet forever present, a melody weaving threads of interconnectedness highlighting the pain and struggle, moments of laughter intertwining with echoes of heartache resurfaced in a way I never imagined. The figure roared, furious and threatening, the shadows lashing out in tandem with his rage. You can't unbind time. You cannot rewrite your choices. But amidst that tempest, Mia raised her voice, intertwining her emotional fortitude with ours. I have to. I'm not a pawn anymore. Suddenly, the ground beneath him cracked, fissuring wide, as colors erupted into a kaleidoscope, casting dazzling light through the once looming dark. The shadows writhed, twisted violently, wailing against the revelations springing forth. And an overwhelming sensation washed through me, a love transcending understanding, unfolding like a flower opening to the morning sun. In that moment of sheer clarity, I understood. Love is not an anchor. It's a compass guiding us through unimaginable storms, illuminating fragments of light piercing through shadows. All of us together, I breathed, A prayer invoked amidst the chaos of collapsing darkness. With that thought anchoring my heart, I squeezed Mia's hand tighter. Keep holding on. We'll forge our way back. Mia's eyes glimmered with unwavering determination, the irrevocable scars of her past giving way to new freedom as the shadows receded, momentarily disoriented by the luminescence radiating from her spirit. What is happening? The figure howled, fury arching his body as he retreated a step. You cannot fight this. The past is your anchor. Oh, but we're setting sail, my friend, Jamie said, surging an unstoppable wave of camaraderie into that moment. And we're not turning back to the harbor. With that, a beam of light erupted from Mia's heart, cascading out in a radiant explosion, shattering the dark remnants into a prismatic shimmer. The shadow figure faltered as the radiant energy spilled forth, merging into a breathtaking hum of togetherness, revealing every thread woven through love's creation, dissolving the chains that once bound us. No, he screeched, retreating into the darkness, his malevolence swallowed whole by the bright tapestry we de-woven. As the air thickened with renewed purpose, everything coalesced, consumed by the light forged through acceptance, unleashing a cathartic wave of release. I felt every breath taking flight, the connection between us surging. The light grew brighter with every heartbeat, every shared promise spoken through our presence, a love that became our shield and our spear, ready to face whatever came next. Mia, I whispered as the darkness loomed smaller behind us, you've taken the first step into the new life we've dreamed of. Together, she said softly, and I could feel the familiar warmth of her voice settle into my very core. I'm right here, I replied, ready to walk this road alongside her, unyielding and unafraid. As the echoes of the past faded, replaced by the shimmering peace of newly forged connections, we emerged into the light together, a fragile yet fierce tapestry woven from love, hope, and a legacy of resilience. As I looked into her eyes, the shadows that once marred her light replaced by the brilliance of a future forged anew. I knew one truth remained, rooted deep within. Love could conquer all, even the shadows that tried to claim us as their own. And in that moment, as the ever-present horizon stretched before us, I vowed with fierce dedication, we will be the authors of our own fate. The storms would come and go, and we would weather them all hand in hand, heart to heart, defying every shadow together. Then as dawn broke over the horizon, gleaming warm through remnants of shadow, I breathed words that echoed through eternity, every heartbeat, a testament. Every step, a promise of tomorrows yet unwritten.